Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Pash On podcast. Let's get started with your host, Brian Pash.
Hi, this is Brian Pash, and welcome to another exciting podcast interview. On today's show, I have Megan Hortan. She's the VP of Product at Client Command. Megan, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Brian, for having me. Excited to be here today.
We're going to talk about the brand new audience data study that Client Command just published, and we'll talk about how to get access to that data study. But for those who are not familiar with Client Command, you've been part of the conversation that I've been developing over the last few years on first-party data management, data activation, and customer data platforms. So how would you describe the company for someone who's never heard of it before?
Absolutely, Brian. That's a great question. So Client Command is founded on our data. We have been a data company in business since 1999. We patented the Active Shopper Network in 2018. And what I really want to hit on is the Active Shopper Network, because that's really where this case study, which we'll talk about here in just a few minutes, is really enveloped around. And the Active Shopper Network that we built was built to monitor the entire internet and identify the consumers the moment that they enter the market. So every single person that has a connected device to the internet, 90% of those, we are seeing the sites that consumers are visiting, the search behaviors that they have in and outside of automotive, across billions and billions of pages of content. And we take that data, score individuals, identify when they are going to be ready to make a purchasing decision for a vehicle, and give that information to our dealer partners for the folks not only in their first party data, but who are those conquest individuals that they have yet to been able to bring into their store, help them activate it, secure all their data within a platform that we have. And we are here to help dealers make sure that they are being the most efficient and effective, engaging with the right folks for their store.
Well, Megan, that's a great summary. And I want to try to add a little clarity to the dealers who, when they hear the word audience and marketing to individuals, the word conquest, a lot of memories come up. And let me just say what's different about how Client Command approaches audiences and a Facebook or a Google.
100%.
For years, dealers have known inside of Facebook, they could target maybe an active, shopper list or in-market shopper list. And if they've gone to Google will say, okay, these are in-market shoppers. They know also that they could go to Polk and buy a list of in-market shoppers. Those lists, however, would not be available for a dealer to see and inspect. They would just be loaded up into Google, and you had to trust that Google's list was accurate. Same thing with Facebook. I'm going to use in-market shoppers. Okay, I'm going to target them. The dealer never knew it was Brian Pash in that list and his address. But the difference with Client Command, when you have a consumer who is in the Active Shopper Network, the dealer gets that audience, Brian Pash, at this address, this email, phone, so that they can decide which customers get emails and which customers can be pushed to Facebook or Google, or which customers could get a direct mail piece. It's extremely different having the data record versus trusting. How would you also, differentiate that? Because for me, I could see the addresses. I can confirm they're in my PMA. I can confirm those are real streets. You know what I mean? I can go to the Google Maps and say, hey, does this house have a car in there? You know what I mean? Like, are these real data? Is it real people?
Absolutely. So yes, the Active Shopper Network, at any point in time, we're looking at about 224 million adults that could in fact purchase a vehicle. And what's great about that is in each of those consumers, we unify who they are within our own data set. So all the various aliases that Megan Hortan has, you'd have a number of how Megan likes to be engaged with, the email addresses, the phone numbers, the address where that individual is located. And we give all of that to our dealer partners. So you know, again, that it is Megan Hortan. Here's all of her contact information. And depending on the way in which you want to engage with Megan, you can upload it into Facebook. You can utilize it in OTT. You can send mail to those individuals. The ability to communicate with a consumer with that various PII and knowing that that individual is searching for the specific make model that we share back with the dealer is tremendously valuable. So you're not hidden behind this garden wall of data. That is, again, trusting. You can see it. I've given you a name. And then when that individual submits a lead on the website or calls into the store or transacts either with a purchase or a service, you can match it back to that list that we provided with incredible transparency.
Yeah, that's another whole element, that match back. Many times dealers were sold, let's say, a conquest email campaign, and the company would say, hey, we're going to send out 15,000 emails, every 3 or 4 days.
Mm-hmm.
And they would never provide all the emails. And even if they did provide the emails, there was no way to prove that those customers got an email, opened the email, because you didn't have access to their email servers.
Yes.
But if the dealer gets a list of active shoppers from the Active Shopper Network, they can email those customers through any email platform that they want. They can activate it on Google. They can activate it in Facebook. They're actually placing, I think that's an important distinction. So for dealers who are tired of spraying and praying, or just downloading their DMS or downloading their CRM and pushing it into different marketing channels, Client Command has a turnkey, data-driven solution to provide audiences of customers who are looking for trucks or looking for EVs or whatever their targeting criteria is aligned with what they want to sell that month. So let's talk about this data study, the new audience study you just published. At a very high level, what was the purpose of the project?
Yeah, absolutely. So the Active Shopper Network and our ability to see those consumers, we wanted to take a look at all of the audiences that dealers are traditionally engaging with. Your in-market list that we just talked about, Polk, Google, Meta, wherever they come from. Equity, right? What equity mining tool? Just because this person has equity, they're shopping for a car right now. DMS, CRM, make model owners, and then your demographic data. And we wanted to see, we know dealers spend, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars a year on engaging with these various audiences.
Right.
And really, how effective are they? How many of those individuals on these lists are actually in the market looking to buy a car right now based on their online behavior? And so that's what we did. We compared each of those audience types up against the Active Shopper Network, and the results were, they were shocking when we looked at them.
So let me set this in context. Dealers buy a list from a third-party broker. Hey, these are people who are in market for a car. Maybe they're told, hey, let's hit your DMS up, because there got to be people here, in this database.
Yeah.
And so since the vast majority of people who are actively shopping for a vehicle, and we're going to define that as, hey, they're on cars.com or Auto Trader or Edmunds or Car Gurus. They're at a other dealer website. They're searching in Google for things like, F-150 prices. They're taking actions. You know who they are in the dealer's local market.
Correct.
So you take your list and compare it to these purchased lists, these other audiences that dealers are used to using. But at the same time, I think dealers would say, Brian, yeah, I've purchased those lists. I didn't see much of a lift. So what did your data study find when, in fact, you are fact checking these audiences that are being sold against your data? What did you find?
Correct. So again, there were 6 key audiences that we took a look at. And what we did is we took and looked at in single digits in terms of what percentage of those consumers were shopping. And I mean, the majority of those audiences resulted in single digit percentages of who was shopping for a vehicle. So I actually want to start from the bottom up and run through these. So your demographic data, mostly age and income lists, very, very common, done traditionally direct mail often or a spray and pray type program. Only 1.9% of individuals within these various demographic audiences that we looked at were actually active within in the active shopper network searching for a vehicle right now. 1.9%. A ton of money spent on demographics. Make and model came in the 5th place, if you will. Again, OEMs giving out data to dealers to say, hey, here are local area owners who haven't serviced with you. They want you to make sure you have that penetration in the market, and they're sending out sales communications to them as well to try and get them to come and buy from their store. Only 2.3% against the audiences that we looked at were actually shopping via the active shopper network. So very small. So as the OEMs are continuing to push and say, you got to engage with these people, again, right sizing that and making sure that you're talking to the right people can be incredibly efficient and effective. CRMs came in 4th at 3.4% individuals actively shopping. And the number of times we each all have been consumers at one point for a vehicle that, you ended up not buying from a particular store, and they call you and they call you and they call you. And that can cause, a turnoff with a particular consumer. So if that individual is previously in your CRM, maybe it's a lonely lead that you're trying to re-engage with, make sure you're talking to the ones that are actually shopping, not the tens of thousands of leads that may be in the CRM that are a little bit older. Again, 3.4% on the CRM side. DMS, first party data gold, right? 3.6% on average of the total consumers in a dealer's DMS, sales and service transactions, were shopping for a vehicle in the last 90 days.
Wow. Let's just pause there. So when dealers are spending, let's just say, hey, dump all the people in my DMS, let's load them up, and they match to Google or match the Facebook. If they loaded up 5,000, there's only going to be 150 people.
Yes.
Right? 1%.
Yes.
1% would 10%. Hold on. 10% would be 500. Yeah. So when you're paying on a per click basis, when you're paying on an impression basis, this is why dealers may have been frustrated with the typical audiences that they've been purchasing in the past.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. And it's so often that because someone purchased from me beforehand, let me engage with them again. Maybe now's the right time. We don't want that maybe to be there. We don't want it to be a guessing game. We want dealers to be able to engage with the person right now that's actually going to help move the needle. As floor plans are getting more expensive, inventory's not moving. We want you to talk to the people that are ready to buy today when you need it to happen. 2 final audiences that we looked at, the inequity, a little bit higher at 5.3%. Once you finally don't have, potentially that car payment anymore, or you can actually make something on it, makes a little bit more sense that some of those folks are actually starting to engage and look again, but still not cresting that double digit. You hit the double digits in terms of people actively shopping in these outside audiences once you get to the in-market folks. But Brian, it is only 20.5%. So just cresting 20% of the individuals on these in-market lists, these predictive lists that are actually shopping right now. So still, it's a 5th of the total. A ton of inefficiency and waste. How much more? You have to buy 5 times that to hit the actual people shopping right now.
Yeah. So let's flip the script, Megan.
Yeah.
The real question we need to ask dealers is, what percentage of your marketing budget is being spent to active shoppers? And I think many dealers believe that since they bought an in-market shopper audience from Google or an in-market shopper audience from Facebook or a third party, that's what they're getting. But the truth is, for that money, if at the best these audiences are only validated to your network 20%, wow. If the dealers flip the script and spent enough money to reach the active shoppers in their PMA with enough frequency through
Yes.
your audiences, of course, that's the best dollar spent. So instead of having an 80% fluff in your audience list that's burning up dollars, wouldn't it be better to focus on just those people who are in market? And when you
Yes.
talk to dealers about that, I'm guessing they almost believe it sounds too good to be true. Like, hold on,
Yes.
you're going to give me the list of these people and I'm going to know who they are. So if they come in buy, I'm going to see, and you're going to let me push out these campaigns, or you'll push them out for me, either whatever the dealer wants, with full transparency.
Correct.
So you take the fluff out, you take the waste out. What type of results do your clients see as compared to these other audiences? Because, here's what a skeptic could say, Megan. Well, Google and Facebook, they're in the data business. They have to be getting some signals from somewhere, unless there's some massive fraud going on. But let's just say, if Google says these people are in market for a car, now it could be they're adding people who did one search for a vehicle and never did much. So what makes the quality of your platform, or maybe what's the criteria that moves Brian Pash from, I searched well, I'll give you an example. The EV Hummer, I just saw it for the first time. Neighbor has it. So me searching 2024 Hummer EV prices just to see what my neighbor paid. And then I stop. Maybe Google says that's an in-market shopper, but I don't think that crosses the threshold for me. That could just be a tire kicker or whatever. So what makes your audiences so much better?
Yeah, absolutely. And you are correct. One search does not signify you as an active shopper, right? You want to see what your neighbor paid next door. The Active Shopper Network has developed an algorithm over the years that looks at all the various behaviors, scores the website you're visiting, the frequency at which you're visiting those websites. What does your behavior overall look like across your entire journey, to then make decisions in these micro scores of behaviors to ultimately say, Brian is a buyer. He's going to buy likely within the next 30 days. And we give our dealers the scores of, is Brian just beginning his journey based on his behavior, or is he ready to pull the trigger right away? And again, it's not a one and done. If it's a one and done, you're probably a lookalike from the neighbor next door.
Right.
And so we make sure that through this, it is not just the one visit that is going to signify that. That is where the waste comes from. That's where those, in-market lists happen. And what's interesting, Brian, is, when you look at the volume of lists, let's just, again, use 100,000 people on these in-market lists, 20,000 of them being actively shopping right now. Oftentimes when I talk with dealers, and Megan, that list is so small, I need to hit more people. I can get more impressions out there with that 100,000. It's the quality that we want to make sure that the efficiency, the ability to touch and get in front of that consumer first, get in front of them often, instead of hoping and praying that somebody in that other 80,000 is going to like the message that I put in front of them because they look like someone else. We want it to be the person that's shopping now. And the Active Shopper Network, when we see that, the consumers that are engaged with first by our dealer partners that utilize the Active Shopper Network data, one of the key things I want to mention is they're getting 36% on average higher gross profits on those consumers that are actively shopping, because they know what they want. They know what their consideration set is. They know what's important to them, so that they can put the best offer in front of that buyer to get them to come into the store. And again, right now, as costs are incredibly high in stores, we want dealers to make as much money as they can as well.
I had two thoughts. The first one I haven't thought about before, but maybe dealers have received exactly what they asked for. If you go back to your example, 100,000 bought list from another company, you would say, hey, we tested this list, only 20,000. So maybe dealers have thought that more is better, not thinking about quality. They're just thinking at this is a random event. The more eyeballs, the more potential. But
Yeah.
with identity resolution, we can actually make sure the people are in the PMA in a reasonable driving area, actively shopping, and more isn't better. Frequency is better, right? So if you focused on the 20, you could increase multi-channel marketing. You could increase
100%.
the frequency. But I had this other thought.
Yeah.
If you know who's out shopping, couldn't you also tell the dealer which of their customers could be defecting? Meaning they come to the dealer's website and, hey, by the way, one of your customers was on the website. Of course, some identity resolution technology can do that. But what you provide is another level. Hey, your customer was out shopping on other auto dealer websites. So are you able to pull in the DMS, see their active customers, and let the dealer know proactively, Brian Pash is out visiting a Toyota website, or maybe not telling which website, but
Sure.
Brian's out shopping and you should give him a call.
Yeah, you are 100% correct. Because of our ability to see those behaviors, not only are we seeing the make models of consideration, which in and of itself will tell you if they're defecting from your brand, but yes, more importantly, are they on your website or are they on a competitor's website? Are they on a third party? And you said it great in that, I can't tell you whose other site they are on, but what I can assure you of is they are not on yours. And they have done business with you multiple times, but they have been on a competitor's site multiple times in the last day, and you need to give them a call, whether it's just brand defection or store defection. Regardless, you want to make sure that you're getting in front of them and we share that information.
And that's really important, Megan, because some OEMs, the dealer's final pay plan, their bonuses are tied to retention and loyalty.
Yep.
And again, I think COVID did a lot to screw around with loyalty because a consumer wanted to get a car from the dealer they were doing business with. Inventory was tight, so they had to go to another brand. So maybe they're now in love with that other brand. The dealer wants to get them back, but they may not be shopping on the dealer's site. But if they're in the dealer's DMS, they can get that notification. So what I'm hearing, Megan, is dealers need to audit, inspect, or qualify really what they're getting when they're buying other audiences or using audiences built into tools. They should be testing your audiences versus those audiences because of your claims that your audiences are true in market shoppers. They are actively shopping. That's what you have your patent on. And then the third piece, dealers who are looking to improve retention and loyalty really need your audiences to let the dealer know when their customers are out shopping elsewhere. Did I summarize those three practical applications of this data study?
Yes, Brian, you summarized it perfectly. And I would add, when a dealer looks at their own first-party data through the lens of the active shopper network, as soon as we see one of their previous customers restart that journey, and again, they've exhibited the behaviors to have them appear with a score within the active shopper network. Again, not that first time visit. It's going to be they've had enough to show their intensity. We will actually engage with that consumer on the dealer's behalf, get a message in front of them right away. So that way the dealer is ahead of it and their name and their brand is put back in that customer, again, to help aid in that loyalty as soon as they start that journey.
Right. Megan, as we wrap up this podcast, I think we got a lot of meaty information to challenge the thinking of dealers in regards to their targeting, their messaging, and the cadence that they're able to establish with the marketing dollars that are allocated each month for marketing. You're saying they can do more with their budgets if they just stop targeting people who are not in market. How could a dealer test your claim? is there a way in which you could test their audience that they're using, or give them some way to test the quality of your audiences to help, maybe sway some opinions inside the dealership?
Sure, absolutely. So I do want to note, Brian, as we talk about, the audiences and again, the quality and who it is that you're engaging with. I also want to give, credit to when there is brand awareness, right? That the stores do need. I don't want to push that aside. In that, when there is an importance and a need of making sure that you are alerting your market of your brand, general information, those lists are great for that. Right? Because it lets you get in front of those individuals, really cost effective in that perspective. But when you have an objective of conversions and transactions, engaging with those that are quality shopping right now with more frequency is where you want to go. And so for dealers who want to test this, we can do an analysis on an audience that they have right now, send it to us. We'll see what percentage, again, of those consumers are actively shopping, so they then can prioritize who to engage with. And also anyone who mentions this podcast, that they heard about the data study and talking about the Active Shopper Network, we're going to give 30,000 free additional prospects that are, again, loyal brand shoppers, or again, conquest customers for that store, for anyone who signs up on a program just for mentioning the podcast today.
Come on, that is a good value prop. I'm so excited to see how dealers engage with this offer, and more importantly, just start to learn about first-party data management, audiences that are transparent, actionable across multiple channels, and not just saying, hey, I buy a Google in-market audience for Google and a Facebook in-market audience for Facebook, but I'm really thinking strategically about a coordinated multi-channel effort to every consumer in my PMA that's in market.
Yes.
You're going to be at the Digital Marketing Strategies Conference, June 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Your customers have a special discount code. So those of you who are loyal to Client Command, make sure you get their discount code to save on your tickets. You also have some tickets to give away for some dealers who are looking to learn more about your platform. So I want to encourage any dealer who wants to get out to Austin, reach out to Megan, get a demo of the product, and then come down to DMSC, because we'll be talking a lot about data hygiene, data activation, data security, compliance, strategic activation with a data-led strategy. A lot of really tough conversations to have with dealers, but needed conversation to end the spray and pray or the blind trust. We need to inspect what we're getting. We need to audit the results, but you need the methods, the partners to do that.
Yes.
Megan, if somebody wants to learn more about Client Command, what's the website? What's the best way to get in touch with your sales team?
Yeah, absolutely. So the best way to get in touch with us is to go to clientcommand.com. From there, you can get directly in touch with our sales team. You can also download a copy of our case study, so you get the entire summary. And at DMSC, I'm going to be hosting a workshop talking all about audiences and how you can look at and analyze your audiences and the investments that you're making in marketing today. So definitely, again, if you have not bought your ticket to DMSC, reach out to me. I'll be there. Would love for you to be in that session. And we're really looking forward to talking the strategy, Brian.
Right. Well, Megan, thanks so much for your time. Really excited to see how this company has grown and how it will continue to grow in the year ahead, as this is truly the year of the audience, celebrating the fact that a data strategy based on clear identity and transparency is the way to go for dealers who are looking to do more with their marketing dollars.
The year of the audience. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes. And for the dealers who are watching today, if you haven't watched or listened into our podcast before, there are dozens of interviews with industry leaders. So take a moment to just search the Brian Pash podcast on any of your podcast players, and you'll see dozens and dozens of great interviews. This is one of a series leading up to the Digital Marketing Strategies Conference. And if you want some information on the conference, just go to digitalmarketingstrategies.org. All the conference agenda, speakers, and opportunities for you to develop the skills and the technology to help you sell more cars in a digital age. Thanks for listening in. Megan, thank you. And we'll catch you next time on another podcast session.
Thanks, Brian. Bye, everybody.